All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Provider AWS Subproject meeting. It is Friday, May 13th today, and we will go ahead and get started, at least with Subproject Updates. I don't see anything else on the agenda, so if you have anything, then go ahead and add it. Otherwise, we'll just do the Subproject Updates and go from there. So I'll give everyone like a minute to add Subproject Updates or anything to the agenda, and then we'll move on. All right, while we fill those in, I will start with the CCM, Cloud Controller Manager. We have new releases for all versions 120 to 124. We have merged, this was done by the Managed Nodes team on EKS. We've merged a new controller called the tagging controller, and we've backported that to, I think, all the way back to the 120 branch. And that will basically take a config and apply tags to nodes. The primary use case for this is to help EKS customers understand their cluster cost. So there is, yeah, so that's, I'll make a note of that, merged tagging controller. And yeah, other than that, yeah, new releases for 120 to 124. I think that's it. Justin?
Yes, so we are working on doing the 124 kOps release. 123 is out, but we are just like doing the final external components, I guess we call them, instead of add-ons. AWS Cloud Controller Manager being one of the big ones, and I think we hit an interesting issue with the versioning scheme, particularly on the older branches, I think. I think we had a meta question about to what extent, we can approve those, or do you care about those builds from an AWS perspective? I know that some things are important to AWS to really tightly control, and some things are less important to AWS to really tightly control. And I don't know how important the open source builds are.
Yeah, no, I spoke to, well, actually I haven't responded to him, but Ole asked about this, and I was gonna suggest that, yeah, somebody from kOps does be an owner on the project so that they can participate in releases and all that. In terms of those builds, technically, like, we rebuild those components when we publish them, but it is still, important. And yeah, the versioning thing, I think, is actually fixed now. We've just been backporting that fix to the older branches. I think we haven't gone, it's still broken in 120 right now, and we're working through that. But yeah, that was thanks to Cyprian, who had that fix, I believe. Right. So yeah, in general, yeah, I think if I know Ole expressed interest in helping out there, so yeah, I'll message him. One thing that would be nice is if we had, like, I'm assuming this meeting time doesn't work for the European folks that are beyond London. Is that the case?
Yes, I think that's fair. Like, it's Friday evening, afternoon, so yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah, so maybe we can have another sync up meeting or something like that, or I don't know. How do you deal with that with kOps? When do you meet?
We actually meet in this time slot in alternate hours, and the European contribution is not great in this one, but we also have a Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern, which I know makes the West Coasters cry, time slot. But the West Coasters tend not to show up to that one. But the Europe people can typically come to that one. We haven't yet found a time slot that works for Asia, but that's Thursday 9 a.m. is we call it like informal office hours or something. But we finding an informal slot I think is a good idea, and doing a one-off might be helpful just to discuss this and like figure out which things want like lots and lots of reviews and which things are more about build pipelines and mechanics and testing, and we can just sort of approve those without requiring universal consensus.
Yep, definitely. Okay. I will make a note of that.
And we can talk about that at KubeCon as well, although I don't think Ole is planning on being there.
Got it. Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. There was anything else for kOps?
Testing to the AWS Cloud Controller Manager repo. There is currently testing on the master branch, and we wanted to add some tests on the other branches as well to, I don't know. There was suggestions that we weren't testing previous releases, so like just getting some more test coverage on those.
Yeah, I think we've added the E2E test to the branches that didn't have it back to, I think, 120 after we merge a couple PRs today, which I think will probably be enough. But there's still more coverage needed for sure, more tests at least.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, load balancer controller.
I don't have much updates. I'm trying to close on the 2.4.2 patch release. I have some internal dependencies that I'm working through right now. So once I have addressed the dependency issues, we'll release the patch release.
Cool. Anything to call out in that patch release?
Nothing specific so far.
All right, Karpenter.
So yeah, there was a new release for Karpenter 0.10. There is a new interesting feature in this one where they have added support for awareness for in-flight nodes. This was not there earlier, so it might be useful for some folks. So earlier, when there is a pending pod, Karpenter would provision a node. While the node is becoming ready, if there is another pod, it will bring up another node. So now it takes into consideration that there is already an in-flight node. So it's a little intelligent in that sense.
Awesome. Cool. All right, Jay, go ahead. I think you have pull to note.
Yeah, it's the same one that I've been hanging on for the last few months. I know Logan Davies, who's the contributor of that PR, has been very patient with us. It's been through a number of rounds of reviews. I think Jyoti and myself are +1 on it. I think we just need a final check from you, Nick, and or Micah. I've asked Micah, but he's been doing other things. So.
Yeah, I was planning on getting into it this week, but as you know, I'm finishing up my on-call shift, so it's been a little bit hectic. It's
maybe if you could just put a little comment on there saying, "Hey, Logan, finishing up on call. We'll get to it next week." Or
yeah,
something like that.
I will definitely do that today. Cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Anything else in terms of subproject updates? Otherwise, we can move to, I guess, is this Pratik looking to demo kit?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I added that. So basically, as part of the scalability team, we have been working on this project for about a year now. And I guess we're in the state where we can demo to the group if there is interest and people want to start using it. So at a very high level, it is it is a collection of some tools which allows you to run tests against Kubernetes clusters. It can be vanilla Kubernetes clusters that Git can provision or EKS cluster, and then it comes with some pre-built Grafana dashboards and some Tecton tasks. So basically, with the CLI and using the Tecton dashboard, you can run some tests, and you can say against an EKS cluster, I want to create, let's say, 10,000 nodes, or I want to create 10,000 secrets, 10,000 pods, and we have all those tasks defined. So I just wanted to see like if there is interest, and I can demo it maybe in the next meetings and see from it.
1 million pods.
Not yet.
I think
Okay,
definitely.
sure.
I think you should. I'll put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Sure.
That you'll be demoing it. That would be great.
Thanks.
And let's advertise that so that we can get folks from the community to come.
Sounds great.
All right, who has the next one?
This was just a shout out. So I've been working in Kate's Infra on offloading some of the costs that are related to, I think I may have mentioned it before, but all of the Kubernetes container registry, GCR, is hosted on GCR, obviously in Google data centers. A huge portion of Kubernetes users are running on EC2, either EKS or by kOps. And those instances are pulling images from GCR, and the bandwidth, the egress bandwidth out of Google data centers is roughly $75,000 a month just for that. So what we've done is we've set up a bunch of S3 buckets as mirrors in the 11 most popular AWS regions, and we're mirroring the image layers for the whatever it is, 1.5 terabytes of images in the registry.kates.io space. So we put together this OCI proxy, which runs in Cloud Run on Google. It basically says, hey, is the source IP for the client coming from an AWS data center? If so, which one or which region? And then we send it to an S3 bucket so that we don't incur the transfer costs, right? Because S3 bucket to an EC2 instance in the same region is free. So, anyway, that is it's a huge reduction in costs, and if you're interested in playing a part in this, I could certainly use your help, and let me know.
That's awesome. I would say, I don't know how far along in the process you are, but I would say that when this gets farther, I guess it would be cool to just maybe like have a quick presentation and like, this is what we've done, this is where the images are now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dims and Ben Elder and myself and Adolfo would be happy to do a little presentation to the other SIGs saying, hey, this is what's going on. You'll probably see some requests from some pull requests and or Slack messages from Dims or Adolfo saying, hey, we're changing image URIs, away from kubernetes.gcr.io or whatever it is, or kates.gcr.io to registry.kates.io. So you'll see like a bunch of changes to the image URIs that are referenced in things like kOps, right? So anyway, there's lots of different moving parts there, but hopefully within the next few weeks, we should start seeing a pretty dramatic reduction in costs. And as Justin mentioned on the agenda doc, yeah, these are costs that the CNCF bears, right? So they're consuming Google credits in GCP, and they will be consuming AWS credits in AWS. That's what we're trying to shift the costs. So.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, taking on those costs and reducing them. It's wonderful, Jay, and thank you. I also want to mention there's also a benefit for users as well, which is that like they should have
Faster.
maybe better performance and like, you know, they don't have to traverse we'll call it the public internet. I assume that we have some form of direct connection, but who knows? We'll call it the public internet. But they can consume, they can just, it should be within the data center or within the region at least. So that'll be awesome.
And Jay, did I hear it right that there will be rewriting of the image URI paths for this?
Yeah, the registry part will change from kates.gcr.io to registry.kates.io. Registry.kates.io already exists. It's just it's a cloud run function that right now, all it does is just forward on to kates.gcr.io. But in the very near future, it will only serve metadata requests from kates.gcr.io, and all of the V2 images layers or the digest blobs for the image layers will get a 302 redirect back from OCI proxy, which is running in registry.kates.io, to the pulling Docker client, and the Docker client will then send a request to whatever the S3 object is in their local region.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. If there's nothing else on that, I was just going to suggest we, the people who are at KubeCon do some kind of a meetup, even if it's just like a lunch or something, and just say hello. It'd be nice to see, the kOps contributors that are EU based and others. Maybe we can post a message in the provider AWS Slack channel or something like that, just to.
Are we all going to be at Monday's contributor summit?
I will be there, I think, but yeah, I don't know. I would say, yeah, we definitely should say hi there, but we might want to do something later in the week just in case there's interest and people, interest from people who aren't going to be there.
Yeah, I know some people aren't arriving till Tuesday because I have like a completely free day on Tuesday. I don't know I'm sure it won't stay free, but like it seems like there's a gap. So I don't quite know what's going on there. It's like all the associated events or whatever, co-located events.
Well, yeah, AWS Container Day turned into AWS Container 2 hours on Tuesday. It's been going on actually all this week. AWS Container Day has, because they turned it into like a 5-day, 6-day thing. Yeah, nobody knows about this. But anyway, there is an event on the 0 day, the Tuesday, for AWS Container Day, but it's like a 2-hour presentation from Nate Tabor on our product roadmap and stuff like that. So it's not the 8-hour straight Twitch TV streaming extravaganza that it has been in the last few virtual events.
All right, well, maybe we can put something in the Slack channel and people can throw out suggestions as to what they're interested in doing, and that way we can get some participation from others as well. So I will do that after this meeting. Cool. All right. If nothing else, then we can wrap up. Thanks for joining, everyone, and happy Friday.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy Friday.